The knock shattered the midnight silence like a gunshot in a dream. I jolted upright in bed, heart slamming against my ribs, the kind of fear that grips you when the world feels too still. Through the frosted glass of my front door, a silhouette loomed, tall, shoulders hunched against the November chill of Haven Point, Maine, whispering my name like a plea. "Eli, it's Wyatt. Let me in before I freeze out here." I fumbled for the lamp, shadows dancing across the walls of my creaky old Victorian like ghosts from a life I thought I'd buried. Wyatt Kane, the guy next door, the one who'd moved in 3 months ago with nothing but a beat-up Ford truck and eyes that held storms no one else could see. We'd exchanged nods over the shared fence, small talk about the relentless fog rolling in from the Atlantic, but nothing more, until now, his voice cracking on the wind, raw and desperate. "I need you, Eli. Just warm me up, please." That plea hung in the air as I cracked the door, cold air rushing in like an uninvited truth. Wyatt stood there, snowflakes melting into his dark blonde hair, his flannel shirt soaked through, clinging to the lean lines of his chest. 30 years old, maybe, with a jaw carved from the granite cliffs lining our coast, and skin tanned from summers he never talked about. His green eyes, sharp as pine needles, locked onto mine, not with the casual hunger of a bar pickup in Portland, but something deeper, fractured. My place, the heat's out, pipes froze solid. I didn't know where else to go. Liar, my gut whispered, but I stepped aside anyway, the floorboards groaning under my bare feet. Haven Point wasn't the kind of town that forgave secrets easily. It was a cluster of weathered clapboard houses huddled against the bay, where lobster boats bobbed like forgotten promises and folks still whispered about the mill closing 20 years back. I'd come here 5 years ago to escape the noise of Boston. My ex, the endless cycle of hookups that left me hollow, to fix up this inherited wreck of a house and pretend I could outrun the ache of wanting something real. But Wyatt? He was a riddle wrapped in flannel, showing up in July with a duffel bag and a smile that didn't reach his eyes, renting the cottage next door from old Mrs. Hargrove before she passed. "Come on," I muttered, grabbing a blanket from the couch. "Kitchen. Tea first, then we'll see about the rest." He followed, dripping water across the hardwood, his boots leaving muddy prints that I'd curse myself for later. Up close, he smelled like salt and pine, with a faint undercurrent of whiskey, enough to dull edges, not enough to forget. I busied myself with the kettle, the steam rising like unspoken questions, while he shrugged off his jacket, revealing a faded tattoo on his forearm. A compass rose, cracked at the center. "Thanks, man." His voice was gravelly, Maine-born but softened by somewhere warmer. Texas, maybe, from the drawl that slipped out when he was tired. He sank into a chair at my scarred oak table, rubbing his hands together, knuckles scarred from fights or hard labor. I couldn't tell. "Didn't mean to wake you. Just, everything's gone to hell tonight." I slid a mug across to him, chamomile because that's what you give someone who's unraveling. Our fingers brushed, and electricity sparked. Not the cheesy rom-com kind, but the real jolt that says you've been seen. "What happened? Storm knocked the power out over there." He stared into the steam, jaw tightening. "Something like that." A pause, heavy as the fog outside. "Truth is, Eli, I saw your light on. Figured you were the only one who wouldn't ask too many questions." That hit like a wave crashing the jetty. In Haven Point, questions were currency. Did you hear about the Grants boy coming out last summer? Or the way Pastor Ellis still preached fire and brimstone on Sundays? I'd kept my own truths locked tight, the pride flag tucked in a drawer, the Grindr app deleted after one too many ghosts. But Wyatt, he looked at me like he knew, like the midnight knock was less about the cold and more about the isolation gnawing at us both. We talked, or rather, he talked in fragments. I listened with the kind of attention that borders on hunger. "Grew up in Austin," he said, chasing rodeo dreams until a bad fall shattered his knee and his illusions. Drifted north for a fresh start, bartending in Portland winters, fixing boats in summer. But there was more unsaid. The way his gaze flicked to the window when he mentioned family back home. The shadow that crossed his face like a nor'easter. By 2 a.m., the tea was cold, and the blanket I draped over his shoulders had slipped, exposing the curve of his collarbone, pale in the lamplight. You don't have to crash on the couch, I heard myself say, voice steadier than I felt. Bedroom's down the hall. It's big enough for two, and the heat's cranked. His eyes met mine, searching, vulnerable in a way that twisted something deep in my chest. You sure? I don't want to. Wyatt. I stood, extending a hand, palm up like an offering. Warm you up, remember? That's what neighbors do. He took it, his grip firm but trembling, and followed me through the dim hallway, past the photos of a life half-lived. Me at 22, grinning with college buddies in Boston, before the world sharpened its edges. The bedroom smelled of salt air and linen, the queen bed unmade from restless nights. We stripped down wordlessly, him to boxers, me to the same, the air thick with anticipation, not lust, but the quiet terror of connection. Under the quilts, bodies inches apart at first, then closer as the chill seeped in. His skin was fever-hot against mine, a contrast that made me shiver. Tell me something real, he murmured into the dark, breath ghosting my neck. I swallowed, heart pounding like waves on rocks. I'm gay, Wyatt, have been since I could name it, and I've been alone so long. I forgot what it feels like to want this. Silence. Then his arm draped over my waist, pulling me back against his chest. Me too, Eli. God, me too. His lips brushed my shoulder, soft as fog, and in that moment, Haven Point faded. The town, the secrets, the endless gray skies. It was just us, two men knocking on midnight doors, seeking warmth in the only place it still burned. Morning light filtered through frost-laced curtains, painting the room in pale gold. Wyatt was gone when I woke, the bed cold on his side, but a note on the pillow. Thanks for the harbor. Coffee later? I traced the scrawl, a smile tugging despite the hollow pang. Harbor. Yeah, that fit. Haven Point's nickname, a refuge for ships battered by storms, and maybe for us too. Downstairs, the muddy boot prints mocked me as I brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead. The knock came at 8 sharp, him, sheepish in yesterday's clothes, holding a paper bag from the docks. Fresh blueberry muffins from Lena's bakery, the kind with crust that crumbles like autumn leaves. Peace offering, he said, grin lopsided, green eyes bright in the daylight. For invading your space. We ate on the porch, wrapped in wool throws against the bite, watching gulls wheel over the bay. Conversation flowed easier now. Stories of boyhood mischief, his in dusty Texas arenas, mine in Boston's brick alleys. He laughed at my tale of sneaking into Fenway for a Red Sox game, underage and buzzed on cheap beer, and I confessed how Haven Point's quiet had healed me, stitch by stitch. But under it all, questions simmered. Why the compass tattoo, cracked like a broken vow? What chased him north from Austin's heat? He deflected with charm, turning talk to me. What's a city boy like you doing in this ghost town, Eli? Writing the great American novel or just hiding? Both, I admitted, sipping coffee that scalded my tongue. Inherited the house from my aunt. Figured I'd flip it, sell, move on. But roots, you know? They sneak up. He nodded, gaze distant, toward the horizon where lobster pots bobbed like buoys marking hidden depths. Roots can strangle if you let them. Then softer, last night, that wasn't just the cold talking. Heat flushed my cheeks, not from the brew. Good, because it wasn't for me either. That afternoon, we shoveled the driveways side by side. Snow flying in white arcs, breaths mingling in clouds. His shoulder bumped mine deliberately, a spark that lingered. By dusk, as street lamps flickered on like hesitant stars, he invited me over. His cottage a mirror of mine, but sparser. Bookshelves crammed with dog-eared paperbacks, Kerouac, Steinbeck, a guitar gathering dust, photos face down on the mantel. We cooked pasta with clams from the market, wine from a corner store bottle, laughing over burned garlic and spilled sauce. The meal stretched into hours, plates pushed aside for knees touching under the table. When he played that guitar, fingers calloused, voice a low rumble on an Old Town's Van Zandt tune, something in me cracked open. Stay, he said after, setting the instrument aside, hand on my thigh. Warm me up again. This time it was deliberate, slow. Clothes shed in the firelight from his hearth, bodies mapping each other like uncharted coastlines. His touch was reverent, fingers tracing my ribs, lips on the hollow of my throat, whispering my name like a prayer. In the tangle of sheets, I found pieces of myself I'd lost. The boy who dreamed of love without apology, the man who dared to hold on. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. Mornings with coffee on my porch, his head on my shoulder. Evenings walking the bluff trails, hands brushing until they clasped. Haven Point noticed, of course. Sidelong glances at the market, Lena's knowing smile when we shared a stool at her counter. But we were careful, or tried to be. Stolen kisses in the truck, nights when he'd slip over after dark. Yet shadows lingered. One night, post-dinner haze, his phone buzzed, a Texas area code. He silenced it quick, but not before I saw the name, Dad. Tension coiled in his shoulders as he poured more wine. Family stuff, he muttered. Old wounds. Tell me? I pressed, thumb stroking his knuckles. Vulnerability was our currency now. He exhaled, long and ragged. They don't know about this. A gesture between us. Grew up in a house where love meant straight lines. Church on Sundays, no deviations. Came out at 20, got the door slammed in my face. Haven't looked back. Until now, chasing ghosts I thought I'd buried. Empathy twisted in my gut. I danced that dance, Boston's freedom a bomb after my own folks' quiet disapproval. You're not alone anymore, Wyatt. Not here. His kiss was fierce then, sealing the promise, but in the quiet after, as rain pattered the roof, doubt whispered. How long before those ghosts caught up? Spring teased at winter's edges, crocuses pushing through snow, the bay thawing into sapphire. Wyatt and I wove deeper. Weekend drives to Acadia, hiking trails where we'd fuck against mossy rocks, breathless and alive. Lazy Sundays in bed, his fingers sketching lazy patterns on my back while I read aloud from his battered on the road. But Haven Point's undercurrents stirred. Finn Whitaker, my old high school buddy turned local mechanic, cornered me at the garage one drizzly afternoon. Finn, broad-shouldered, easy laugh, married to his sweetheart since 20. Wiped grease from his hands, eyes sharp. Heard you've been thick as thieves with the new guy, Eli. Kane, right? Quiet type. Yeah, I said, casual as I could, handing over my keys for an oil change. Good neighbor. Helps with the yard work. Finn leaned in, voice low. Just watch yourself. Mrs. Hargrove's nephew from Bangor was asking around. Said Wyatt's got a trail that's maybe worse. Drifted up from Texas after some bar fight gone south. Folks talk. My stomach nodded, but I shrugged it off. People talk about everything here, Finn. Remember when they said I was running from a scandal in Boston? He chuckled, but unease lingered in his eyes. Fair. Just, love looks different in small towns. Makes targets. That night, over takeout chowder, I probed gently. Ever get in trouble down south? Fights, I mean. Wyatt's fork paused mid-air, expression shuddering. Ancient history. Why? Finn mentioned something. Hargrove's kin sniffing around. He set the bowl down hard enough for spoons to rattle. And you believe him? Some grease monkey gossip. No, but... I reached for his hand, he pulled away. We're building something, Wyatt. No secrets, remember? His laugh was bitter, green eyes stormy. Secrets kept me alive, Eli. You think I knocked on your door because I wanted pity? I wanted you. The one guy in this godforsaken town who looked at me like I wasn't broken. The words landed like punches, each one cracking the fragile trust we'd built. He stormed out into the rain, door slamming like thunder, leaving me with cooling soup and a heart raw as a braided skin. Days passed in radio silence, his truck absent from the drive, my texts unanswered. Haven Point mocked me with its indifference. Waves crashing indifferent, neighbors nodding polite hellos that felt like accusations. I threw myself into the house, sanding floors, painting walls a hopeful blue, each stroke a futile exorcism of the ache. Then the knock at midnight again. Not desperate this time, but hesitant, knuckles rapping soft as regret. Wyatt on the stoop, drenched not from rain but sweat, duffel slung over his shoulder. Eli, I fucked up. Can we talk? I let him in, the air between us thick as fog. He collapsed on the couch, head in hands. That call, the one from Dad? It wasn't nothing. He's sick. Cancer. Wants me home to make peace before it's too late. The confession hung heavy. And I bolted. Again. Because going back means facing them. Facing the version of me they want, not this. His gesture encompassed us. The room. The life we'd sketched. But running's no life either. I came out at 18, got disowned. Lived on the edge ever since. Bartending dives. Chasing highs that never lasted. Thought Haven Point was different. You were different. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unashamed. And something in me shattered. I knelt before him, cupping his face, thumbs brushing salt away. You're enough as you are, Wyatt. We both are. But family, it's messy. Doesn't mean you have to go alone. We talked till dawn. Plans half formed. A road trip south, me at his side, facing the fire together. His kiss was apology and anchor, bodies reuniting with a tenderness born of fracture. In the afterglow, spooned against him, I whispered, whatever comes, we've got harbor here. But peace was illusion. 2 weeks later, betrayal crashed in like a rogue wave. I came home from the lumber yard, boards for the porch swing we dreamed up, to find Wyatt's truck idling, engine humming low. Through the window, voices. His low and urgent. Another man's, drawl thick as molasses. Wyatt, boy, you think you can ghost us? After everything. The stranger. Mid-40s, Stetson tipped back, face weathered like cracked leather. Loomed in my kitchen, Wyatt backed against the counter. I told you, Harlan. I'm done. Go back to Austin. Harlan Kane, I realized with a gut punch, Wyatt's brother. From the family photos I'd glimpsed once. Face down. But the name, Harlan. Like mine, Elias Harlan, but coincidence? No. As Harlan turned, eyes narrowing on me, pieces slammed together. The note that first morning, thanks for the harbor. A jab, the compass tattoo, pointing south. You, Harlan snarled, finger jabbing. The Boston import. Think you're saving him? Wyatt here's been playing you from day one. Sent to soften you up. Get the deed on this pile. Family land. Owed to us since Aunt Marge stiffed Dad in her will. Wyatt's face crumpled. Denial dying on his lips. Eli, it's not. Not what? My voice cracked, world tilting. The house, my refuge, targeted. Our nights, our whispers, lies? I stumbled back, chest heaving. You knocked at midnight for this? To warm me up so I'd sign away my home. Harlan laughed, cold as January ice. Kid's got charm, I'll give him that. But blood's blood. Dad's dying, and this town's ours. Wyatt lunged, shoving his brother. Get out. I came here to escape you, not drag Eli down. Fists flew. Brother against brother. Grunts echoing off walls I'd painted with hope. I watched, frozen, betrayal a blade twisting deep. Harlan staggered out, spitting curses, truck peeling gravel. Wyatt turned to me, bruised lips swelling, eyes pleading. It's true, the land. Dad heard about the inheritance, sent Harlan to scout. But I stayed for you, fell for you. The plan died the first night. Lies, I choked, tears hot. Everything, your stories, the guitar, the way you held me. Performance. No. He stepped closer. I flinched. God, Eli, feel this. Hand to heart, his pounding wild. Real as the bay. I betrayed you by coming here at all. But I swear. Get out. The words tore from me. Final as a locked door. He did. Duffel forgotten. Silhouette vanishing into twilight. Nights blurred into numbness. Haven Point's fog mirroring my mind. Each wave a echo of his touch, now poisoned. Finn stopped by with beer and silence, letting me rage. Fucking Canes, thinking they own everything. But Wyatt, he looked broken, Eli, like he meant it. I drowned in what-ifs. The compass, cracked not by fall but fracture. His whispers in the dark, truth amid deception. Papers arrived, legal threats from Austin lawyers, claiming the house via some forgotten clause. I lawyered up, Portland firm fighting tooth and nail, but the war drained me, sleep evading like trust. Then the letter, handwritten, postmarked Dallas. Wyatt scrawl. Eli, words fail, but I'll try. Dad's gone. Funeral was a circus of pretense. Me in the back row, ghost among kin. Harlan confessed the scheme. I walked out, cut ties for good. Headed west to California, maybe, chasing sun instead of storms. But you're my north. If forgiveness exists, find me in Ridge Valley. The compass points true now. Enclosed. The deed, signed over clean, no strings. My hands shook, tears blurring ink. Harbor, indeed not possession but release. Summer swelled, heat shimmering the bay. I drove south, windows down, Kerouac on the dash, heart a compass of its own. Ridge Valley was sun-baked hills, olive groves whispering freedom, far from Maine's gray embrace. Wyatt waited on a porch swing, thinner, sun-kissed, green eyes lighting like dawn. Eli, one word, a bridge. I crossed it, pulling him close, lips meeting in salt and second chances. You came, always, his hand in mine, scarred knuckles gentle. Took losing you to find myself. We rebuilt. Not in Haven Point's shadows, but here, under endless blue. A cottage with guitar strings humming, nights tangled in honest warmth. Betrayal scarred, but compassion healed. Teaching us love's not straight lines, but winding roads, forgiving detours. In each other we found identity unchained. Freedom in the knock that started it all.